Yes, guys, a customer receiver can definitely cost your trucking company $1,400 in one day. Okay, guys, so this actually is a true story. This happened to me, and I'm going to give an example how this cost the trucking company I work for $1,400 potentially. Okay, it technically cost us only $300, but I'll show you how it can cost $1,400. So basically, here's a picture of the load. I'm going to put it in the entire length of the video. Here's a pictures of the loads, or this load that I did. I went to Eaton, a company that makes electrical boxes, in Greenwood, South Carolina. I picked it up. They had a special ladder for me to go up with the harness. They put the tarp on top. All I had to do was unwind the tarp, put edge protectors where it was needed, put the tarp down, bungee cord the tarp, put straps, and good to go. I arrived at this place in Virginia, and I arrived on time. It was appointment time, and when they told me what to do, they were like, you have to take the tarp off yourself. Now, this load is 13 foot 6 inches high, or 13 foot 4 inches, somewhere around there. The tarp got hung over on sharp edges, okay? The edge protectors did not hold on through. They slipped off, even though I bungee cord them down. They were still on there, but they moved in a way when I was hauling the load to where the sharp metal points of the box still stuck out and poked through the tarp. Now, the holes did not get any bigger, but they did get bigger after this. So I'm like, I asked the guy, I was like, I need a favor. Can you guys please help me take off the tarp? Well, like, all you guys gotta do, which I told him, is after I take off all the straps and bungee cords, is you guys grab a forklift, grab one side of the tarp and raise it up, because that tarp, because it's hung over the edges on every side of the load, not just one side, it's very hard to slide it off without cutting the tarp more. Okay, the only way is, I've done this at shippers before. They either grab a crane or they grab a forklift and they slowly lift up the tarp. I go to the other side, I'm able to slide the tarp off, boom, no extra damage done. You can run a tarp of small little holes. It's not going to be a big issue. They refused that. The guy was like, well, all I can give you is a ladder. And he was very mean about it. He wasn't nice about it at all. I'm like, sir, a ladder won't help me because it's still going to be against the tarp. I need to be on the top of the load, at least to pick it up and let it go, and that's not going to help me. So what I ended up doing is I grabbed my stick that you measure the height of the load with. I grabbed it, went after I unstrapped and took the bungee cords off the tarp. I went from underneath the tarp and extended the stick and started poking upwards. I grabbed one tarp off because I had to have two big tarps in that load, and the big tarp was overlapping on the second tarp, so the tarp on top didn't really get damaged too much. After I kind of lifted up, I was able to slide the tarp right off. The second tarp was the one that's really hung over. Now, keep in mind, both of the tarps caused major hole damages. Not enough to where I can't use the tarp, but technically you have to either repair it or buy a new tarp. So basically, guys, when I came to the second tarp, I went to lift up the tarp with the extended stick, and since the height stick that you measure the height of load, not all of them are made of fiberglass. This one's made out of pure plastic. When I went to lift up the tarp, the whole thing just snapped off. The height measuring stick just broke in half, and I am done. They just still didn't want to help me. They offered me a ladder. The ladder is 12 foot high. Keep in mind, the load is 13 foot 4. The ladder is 12 foot high, and they're like, yeah, you can use it. It reaches the top of the load, no problem. And I told them, sir, I am short, and second, it'd be dangerous because in order to climb on top of the load or remove the tarp, I have to climb to the very last step of the ladder, the one that becomes like a triangle, without a harness. and risk tipping over the ladder, either getting stuck on top or falling over. I could not use that ladder. And he's like, well, you can put it on your step deck and then go to the top. I'm like, that is still very dangerous because the ladder would be like this slanted high and it could fall off when I'm going backwards. Like fall off backwards when I'm going on top. He still wouldn't understand. Now, once they saw me struggling to take off the tarp, which I try to grab a strap, with the one that has a hook, go around the O-ring of the tarp, throw it on the other side, and pull it up from the other side. That still didn't work. Then they came and helped me with a forklift, and he actually found out what was hung over, helped me pull up the tarp and then take it off. And he's like, the reason why we don't help truckers take off the tarp, because we helped a trucker take off his tarp one time, and he blamed us and told us we need to pay for his tarps that we ripped. And I was like, guys, I never told you to take off my tarp. What I did tell you was to help me just lift the tarp up and I take it off myself. And they finally helped me, guys, but it was until I damaged 2 tarps and I damaged a height measuring stick. Okay, according to prices in Iowa 80 truck stop, a tarp, 8-foot drop tarp, it's almost $600. There's 2 of them. So 2 8-foot drop tarps are $600 each. That's $1,200 roughly. And the height measuring stick was about $200 as well. That caused $1,400 in damages from just one load. All because a customer was mean and did not want to help me untarp properly. What can we learn from this, guys? Is, well, just be as polite as possible. Even though I was polite, they still didn't help me. And second, get ready to maybe spend money on a load from a disaster, even though it was a good paying load, and there was still a disaster. That's all I can say. That's what we can learn from it. Another thing, what I could have done is instead of getting a height measuring stick to lift it up, maybe using their ladder to try lift it up, even though it's going to be very, very hard. Either way, this was a very, very tough load to unload, and that's why it cost $1,400. Now, technically didn't. I still use those tarps. They're not that big holes. But in other cases, you would need to replace the tarps and the height measuring sticks, costing $1,400 in damages on that single run. All right, guys. I'm Eddie V. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe. Not canceled. Guys, I'm Eddie V. 2064 turn right. This particular package. Driving a temp in the 6 Series.